Well, it's Wednesday and I'm Amanda Joy and you're listening to the Wednesday Wellbeing Show, and you're listening tonight to an extra special edition of the Wednesday Wellbeing Show. I literally couldn't wait to have this fabulous guest on any longer, and there's an incredible book launch happening over the next couple of days. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to do a Wednesday Wellbeing super duper special, and here it is. And tonight I'm so delighted to have an amazing guest on. Tonight I'm chatting with Aly Jones, and she's a part of this incredible project. She's the co-author of a brand new book that's coming out that's called Revival: Women Embracing Their Superpower. Well, with a title like that, I had to get her on immediately. Aly's an impact speaker, a holistic empowerment coach. Obviously, she's just recently become a co-author with 29 other fantastic ladies, launching on June the 11th. Put that date in your diary. Do not miss that launch. It's going to be incredible. And I'm just delighted to have her on tonight. She is a very, very special guest because not only is she an incredible speaker and empowerment coach, but she is a writer, and she's had articles very recently featured in Motivate magazine. She has her very own stationery range. I am so jealous as a teacher. I'm a little bit obsessed with stationery, so I love the idea of having your own stationery range. And she's also got another incredible workbook in the pipeline, which is about to be published, which is going to be a really incredible self-help workbook. Aly offers one-to-one coaching and workshops, and she's also the area director for London for a women's business networking company. She works with energy and reiki and colour therapy. She's also a reflexologist and a body mapping analyst. I'm going to find out a bit more about what that is in a minute. And literally just combines these tools, these techniques, this wonderful knowledge that she has with her amazing and really beautiful intuition, and she really does get the whole picture of her clients so that she can really find out about what's going on in their lives, what's going on, what lifestyle impacts they may be having, and she empowers you to find your pathway to purpose. Aly, welcome to the Wednesday Wellbeing Show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh my goodness, what an incredible introduction. Thank you so much, Amanda. I'm so pleased and grateful to be here today and to join you. I'm so excited. I'm excited to be here, and I want to go to that launch. It definitely sounds exciting.
Well, I looked online earlier today, and you can actually attend the launch online, can't you?
Yes, you can. I mean, unfortunately, due to circumstances, we've had to put it online, as with everything else. However, It's still going to be incredible because there's the selection of authors are going to be attending, and there's going to be excerpts spoken by those actual authors as well. So you get to hear little snippets of the stories, which is really exciting. So yeah, it's going to be good fun, and you can definitely attend if you want to. I mean, I think I did give you the link, didn't I, Amanda? So
I've got it. I'm going to put it on the podcast so that people can click on and join in, because that's
perfect.
Going to be an incredible evening. I will be there.
Yeah.
You have so many, I will do. You have so many tools and skills and such a wealth of knowledge that you bring to the table when you're supporting, empowering and helping people through times of transition. But tell me a little bit about, what is a holistic empowerment coach? How on earth did you get into doing this? And tell me a little bit about yourself, your life and your journey into this work.
Of course, yeah, I'd love to. Now, where do I start? I'd probably best to start a little bit about myself, if that's okay then. I'll tell you a little bit about my backstory and what brought me to who I am and what I do now, really. I've had a bit of some would say I've had a very privileged upbringing. I grew up traveling around, living abroad, and had a very kind of, I was very fortunate that I got to experience lots of cultures and religions from a very young age, which was great education for me. And it was a really good basis to kind of really understand how different people in the world live and how unique we are all and how individual we are. My own personal story with my family, like everyone, which family is perfect? No family is perfect. And mine in itself had their own problems. My dad, bless him, was an alcoholic and a workaholic, and that brought with it its own problems. I had, I found that I replicated very similar things. I myself became addicted to alcohol and drugs and things like that when I was younger, and kind of went off the rails a little bit. I had a difficult kind of relationship with my mum, who, bless her heart, also, did her absolute best to be the best parent. But, they came from a different generation of parents that we have a lot more understanding, I think, now as parents, and the impact that what we do as parents. But
I think
I come from a generation.
I think we have to remember I think we have to remember as well that our parents were brought up after a big world war. And
exactly.
they'd been through a massive time of trauma. And so their parents were parenting from a place of injury and from trauma. And they were all kind of recovering together. So, parenting is the hardest job in the world, isn't it? And our parents do the absolute best that they can with the resources that they've got, based on the parenting that they had as well. And I do believe that our generation are doing a lot of work, aren't they, in a child work at the moment, and really
you hit the nail on the head, Amanda, actually, because my mum personally, had a very Victorian upbringing, so she was very repressed, didn't understand how to love without conditions, and she did her best. She did love me, but it was a very strained relationship that I had with my mum, and it's only now that we get on fabulously now. But it took a long time to mend, for me to process the way that my parents kind of, parented, basically. My dad, bless his heart, he's not with us anymore, but, being an alcoholic and the things that he did because he was an alcoholic had a massive effect on me. I didn't understand what was acceptable in relationships. I didn't understand what was acceptable to how to behave as a person. And because of that, I then went on to go through certain things myself. I went through certain things. I was sexually attacked when I was younger, assaulted by a group of youths because I was out walking at 10 o'clock at night to a club to go drinking. So I was putting myself in vulnerable positions. And because of that, I got sexually attacked. Fortunately, it was interrupted and, it didn't go the full extreme, which, thank goodness, I'm very, very grateful for that. But that in itself left me very traumatized, and various things that positions I kept putting myself into. I kept repeating the same cycles. And when I got older, I found myself finding partners that were very much similar things. And I was repeating cycles with alcoholic partners. And as a result, when I was just about to, when I had my second child, 8 weeks after he was born, the partner that I was with, I found was cheating. So I then became a single parent for a while, and that was traumatic. I thought I'd found love again, and went on to have another child, got married. Again, he was an alcoholic, but he was a different type of alcoholic. This one wasn't the aggressive kind of, typical kind of sort of abusive, aggressive alcohol. This one was a much more functioning, went to work, and from the outside, we looked like perfect family, but inside the four walls was very, very different, as in many situations it is. And there was a lot of narcissistic kind of behavior, and it was unhappy. But that rolled into something that accumulated in just after a week before my fourth child. Something happened with his work, and his work blamed him. It took 2 years to prove in court that he wasn't at blame because he was scapegoated by the company. Unfortunately, in those 2 years, he drank more, and I was left to try and desperately, pay this mortgage. I had three kids under 3 and a 7-year-old. So, with a newborn, an 18-month, a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, trying to work, look after them, bath them, feed them, put them to bed. I just couldn't do it constantly. And as a result, just after we won the case, we then lost the house. So suddenly I was homeless with 4 kids. And it was like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Homeless with 4 children. I was distraught. I was devastated. I thought I was a failure. I thought my kids would never forgive me. I thought that everybody was judging me, that I had failed my children, failed my family. At the time, you feel like you're the only one that's lost a house. You feel like the only one that's penniless, the only one that's failed. And so very much I kind of wanted to give up at that point. And I very much realised I can't give up. I've got 4 children. So it was kind of give up or get up. So 6 months we were there. And in that time, all my furniture was in a friend's garage. And at the time, it was the floods. There was huge floods that year. So all my possessions were also destroyed. Oh, no. So I had no house, which I'd had to get out of in 48 hours and literally put my stuff in her garage. I had no house. Then my stuff was destroyed and I had to live. I say it was a grotty hostel, but I'm just grateful really that I had a roof over my head, but it wasn't the nicest of places. No. So I was there for 6 months. Finally got given a house, and just after we were allocated the house, which I was so happy about, my world was destroyed again because my father, through all of his faults, he was my best friend. He was my rock and had always been my rock all my life. And he was given the diagnosis that he'd had terminal cancer, and he had literally anything from days to weeks to live. Bless him, he went on for 4 months, but I watched him slowly die in front of me, and that was soul destroying. And I thought, oh my goodness, my world's rocked again. I lost my house, lost my furniture, finally got some happy news, and then this happens. And I thought, do you know what, Amanda? I thought the world couldn't be any crueler. And then just not long before my father died, I was sat at the table. It was very late at night. I not long got back from taken my dad for one of his cancer treatments. I'd made tea. I was sat there. I think it was around about midnight, and it was just kind of closing down, ready to go to bed. And I sat there, and my husband, was across on the table drinking. And I said to him, I'm losing one of the most important men in my life, but at least I'll grow old with you. And when someone looks at you and they have these eyes and you just know something's coming. Yeah, it was that. And before he even said anything, my stomach didn't just drop. I felt like it had left my body. Yeah. And he said to me, that's not going to happen. And I looked at him and I said, what? And he said that, I'm sorry. He said, I don't want to say this. He said, but I don't think that's going to happen. And it turns out, he didn't want to say it, but it turns out that what he said to me was that he'd cheated on me and that he cheated with another man. Well, to say my world collapsed was an understatement at that point. Yeah. And I thought, I can't take any more. I'd lost my house. I felt like I had nobody other than my core few friends. I felt like I was alone. I felt like I wasn't just in an ocean in a boat, but that I was in this. I didn't even have a boat. I was in a life buoy with no paddle. Yeah. I felt like I was in the middle of an ocean, lost at sea. And that's the best way I can describe it, really. And I just thought, why am I here? Why am I here?
I mean, you've just been through this like a torrent of
all within about a year.
Relationships and breakdowns and great loss. Not just loss of people, loss of money, loss of home. I mean, there's that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, isn't it? Where there's that the triangle. Yeah. And the bit at the bottom is like, have you got a nice house? Have you got some food? Have you got someone to love you? And all of those things that are absolutely core and essential for emotional stability, for emotional well-being. You'd literally had all of those just
gone,
swept away, just gone.
Yeah, washed away
in such an incredible, such a short time.
Yeah, it was, you know, I remember one night looking up at the stars with tears streaming down my face, and I remember saying, why am I going through this? Why are you doing this? You know how you talk to somebody, you go, why are you doing this to me? What have I done so wrong that I deserve this? You know, was I not good enough? Was I you know, a crappy mum? Was I a bad wife? Was, you know, you question everything about you, and you question everything about the universe.
Yeah.
And you know what, that was actually the catalyst for me, was looking up and questioning that, because that was what made me think, okay, so why was all of this happening? I know there's certain things you can't control. You know, I couldn't control that my dad had died,
of course,
but I started to question everything. I started to become the why kid again that I'd always been when I was younger. You know, why does that happen? But why does that work like that? I started to become the why kid again. I thought, there has to be more to life than just loss. It cannot just be loss. So I started to question everything. I started to investigate, and I started to realize that actually there was a lot more to life than I thought there was. There was a lot more. There was a lot more to it. Just the incredible kind of reasons behind why we're here, and kind of, you know, the odds of being here was what baffled me and boggled me, you know, when I found out the odds of being here, you know. And I just started to kind of question things about, you know, dimensions, spirituality. I mean, I'm a bit of a science geek, so I started looking into quantum science. You know, I got deep. I went down the rabbit hole in a big way. And I almost got lost down the rabbit hole, I can tell you. But yeah, I started to question everything, because I realized that there was a reason I was here, and it could not have possibly just been about loss. There must have been another reason. And I know I'm a parent, and that's the most incredible thing. And I'm so privileged to be a parent, and I'm so grateful to be a parent. But I knew there was also something more, because we can all, you know, that's what we do. We kind of, we're here, we have the next generation, but there's also personal reasons why we're here too. And I realized that there must be a reason I'm here other than just loss. And so that started me on my journey then of really kind of trying to find out why I was here. So yeah, so that's
going, why is all this happening to me? And then you had this like awakening moment, really, didn't you, where you just thought, you know what, I'm here, I must be here for a reason. I must be here, I must have some purpose. All of this loss, all of this stuff that I've been through, there must be a reason why. It can't just be totally random.
And it wasn't like an epiphany that I suddenly had the answer just like that, because I didn't. You know, some people say, oh, I got an epiphany, I got the answer, you know, overnight. No, it didn't happen like that for me. It took a lot of learning and folding. It was like peeling back an onion. And it took a long time for me to slowly learn and slowly accept and slowly discover all these different layers. And there was times when I just think, oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I remember, you know, sometimes I didn't want to get out of my pajamas, and, you know, and things like that. And I just remember thinking, do you know what? I kept thinking back to when you're a child, and when you're learning to walk and you fall over, you know, when you're a tiny little child, you don't think to yourself, oh, do you know what? I'm done with this trying thing. I'm just going to end up, you know, we'd be a world of crawling people right now instead of walking upright. You know what I mean? It doesn't. There's no kind of concept of giving up. It just a child will just keep doing it and doing it and doing it until it learns to walk. And I thought, there's a learning in that I need to take. That I can't just give up. There is a reason I'm here. And I think for me, it was really fundamental that is part of everybody's mission, is to learn why we're here. And then I kind of, like I said, I went down this rabbit hole, and I kind of started to realize that we all have this concept that we're these physical beings trying to achieve, you know, some form of spirituality kind of thing. But I actually discovered that's not the case. I took the other pill, and I discovered actually we are actually spiritual beings. We're spiritual beings here to experience a physical life.
Yeah.
And we've had it all backwards. Yeah. So it was a beautiful it's been a beautiful journey. It's been incredibly difficult at times, and there's been so many times, that I've wanted to, I can't be dealing with this, and you want to give up. But even now, I'm still evolving, I'm still learning, I'm still peeling back different layers. And there is no time, I think, that we can actually sit and go, do you know what, that's me perfected. That's not it. That's not it. Because we're forever evolving, aren't we? And we change as things change, and as things, as we experience different things, we're always growing. So it's a constant learning. It's a constant get yourself up and pick yourself up. Les Brown, I think, has an amazing quote. He always says, if you fall and if you can land on your back and you can look up, then that's a great thing, because if you can look up, you can get up. I don't know the exact wording, but if you can look up, you can get up. So I think it's a great kind of concept to live by, that you just got to keep picking yourself up, and just keep going, and the more you start to change your perception, the more incredible your life can actually become. And that's the second phase of who I became, kind of thing.
So obviously I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and I work with perception, and it's fascinating, isn't it? But I talk to people about how, if something happens to you in your life, whether it be a good thing or a bad thing, when you've had an experience of something of some sort, that's a seed, and that seed goes into the ground. And quite often when it's a difficult thing that we've gone through, it can feel like we're stuck in quite a dark place and we're covered in earth, or we're in this we're stuck in the mud, we're stuck in this dark place. Actually, that can be the time when we're growing and learning the most. But those experiences, sometimes those dark experiences, even the positive experiences as well, what happens is they grow roots into the ground to draw up nourishment from the earth. And then it also, reaches up to the sky and forms branches. And when it's a positive thing, those things are solid and they feel good, and they cause us to respond and react to the world in a positive way. When those experiences that we've had have been quite hurtful or negative, the roots that go into the ground, they alter our perception, they alter our understanding of the world. So we see the world through kind of like, they say you see the world through rose-colored spectacles. Well, you don't. You see the world through kind of tinted spectacles that make things not appear so nice, appear so good, and you can struggle with interactions with people, can't you? And then you end up with all of these branches, and these branches that have grown from this negative experience, maybe an unhealthy relationship with food, maybe an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, maybe anger, frustration, stress, anxiety, responding to people in a negative way. It may be that those net branches are things that we say to ourselves which are just not true, like we're not good enough, we're not powerful enough, we can't achieve anything. And I know that this is what you do, isn't it? You, with your tools and techniques, you lop off the branches, get rid of all the negative thinking, and then go back to the point of that seed and dig it out if it needs digging out. And if it's a positive seed that's been planted, I know you kind of like pour on fertilizer and nourish it so that tree, the kind of like, be a gardener and get in there and nourish what people have, the skills that they have, and chop back those limiting beliefs. Tell me a little bit more about the empowerment work that you do with people one-to-one.
Well, it's exactly what you just said. I mean, you said it so beautifully about, I love that, that you talk about the tree and the branches and actually the roots that go down. When I talk about what I've been through, I can actually talk about it with a smile on my face now, and it's not because those things were easy to go through, and it's not because they were nice to go through, but I'm so incredibly grateful for them, because every single thing that I went through has created the amazing, unique qualities that I have. And I don't say that in an egotistical way, because everybody has unique, amazing qualities. And it's all the experiences that you go through that creates that for you. And so the empowerment work that I do, well, first of all, it's you know, kind of sort of letting people know how incredible they are for being here in the first place. I mean, the odds of being here are, I think it's 400 quadrillion to 1, or quadrillion is, I don't even know what the word is, but it's 4 with 17 zeros. They've done a mathematical equation.
Oh my goodness.
And
okay,
the odds of you know,
whatever
the generational thing,
zeros are.
famine, dinosaur, everything, the odds of being here are just incredible. So you are a miracle the moment you're born. So first of all, it's kind of, you know, letting people know that straight off the bat, how incredible they are, how unique and beautiful and amazing they are. But then it's also on a personal level, it's very much about letting people discover what it is that, you know, they've been that's been holding them back up to now, what they've kind of, you know, we talk about blueprint and conditioning and limiting self-beliefs, and I don't like to call them limiting self-beliefs, because actually it's a perception thing. And the beliefs that we hold can actually be flipped, because all of those things, those limiting beliefs that I have, actually protected me when I was younger. They were what kept me alive during those things. So it's about teaching people to acknowledge what they've gone through, then to take responsibility. So what I mean by that is, and this is a hard thing for people, this is the hard part, I think the most difficult part for people, is to take responsibility. We often say, I drink because my dad drank. Yeah. Or I'm stuck in a rut doing the same things because that's what I grew up with. That's what I saw. That's what I learned. Well, that's fine when you're 10. It's even fine when you're maybe 18, 19, 20. But when you step into adulthood, and particularly when you start to become responsible with responsible adult things, you have to stop blaming your parents. You have to stop blaming the world and stop blaming the outside for what's going on the inside. And so it's accepting and acknowledging, taking responsibility, and then actually being completely grateful for everything that you've gone through, and actually looking at it as an amazing strength, that the miracle that you are, you still are, because you're still here, and yet you went through all that crap. So it's about, as I've got this slogan, and I call it find it, face it, embrace it. You find what those things are. I love it. You face what they are, and then you embrace it. And so that's what I teach people with empowerment to do.
And it's really about having total acceptance of who you are. That's what I hear in that. This is me. These horrible experiences that I've been through, and these amazing experiences that I've been through, have made me who I am today. Yeah. And I'm going to accept all of those, warts and all.
Love them.
And I'm going to love them. Yeah, I'm going to love them. And I love that. One of the things that I've got written on my wall, this you're in my therapy room, but in my other room where I live, I have loads of these like white sheets all over the wall. And one of the things that I've got written on my wall is, thank you for being who you were. Yes. Because I'd have to remind myself, thank you, Amanda, for all that stuff you went through to get where you are today, because that's made you who you are. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, me. And I always do a bit of self-gratitude as well. And then I always say,
brilliant.
I always say, I am that I am now. And I can see who I'm becoming as well. And I just have a few minutes every morning just being thankful for all the things that I've been through, good and bad. I should write a book, really, because I have this whole thing that I do in the morning called my spiritual breakfast.
That's perfect.
Because I always feel like you put all this healthy food in, don't you? You have your supplements, you have your green superfoods shake.
Yes.
You have all of this healthy stuff. You do your yoga and all that. You have a good stretch. Get up in the morning. But we don't tend to feed our minds with the right things. We tend to jump on Facebook or watch the news. And that's not really a great way to start your day. So I believe that you should have a spiritual breakfast. So I always try and feed my mind with something really positive. So it might be I read something good, or it might be I'd meditate on something really nice. And then I always have a little moment where I say, thank you to the Amanda who got me to where I am today. And here I am in this moment. I am enough. I am powerful. I have a little I am moment. And then I have an I am becoming, and I can see that. And I visualize where I'm going in the future. And I just find it such a positive and uplifting way to start my day. But I've had to make it a habitual. I've had to make it part of my morning routine. Otherwise, I'm the sort of person that thinks that's a great idea. I'm going to do that every day. I do it every day for a week, and then I forget, and then I just get out of habit. So I had to work quite hard at being quite disciplined in getting up. I get up, I put the kettle on the way to the bathroom, make myself a cuppa, and I go straight and sit down, go for a wee, go straight and sit down with my cup of tea, and I sit and I'm ready. And then I have my spiritual breakfast, and then I have my food breakfast. That's
brilliant.
how it works for me.
Yeah.
And if I can get
brilliant
time at the end of the day to say thank you for the day as well, then I always, I feel like in the morning you say please, and at the end of the day you say thank you.
That's amazing. I love that spiritual breakfast.
Yeah.
And I do a similar thing in the morning. I do a similar thing. I do sometimes run the 5 a.m. club as well. And that's about encouraging people. You don't have to do. Yeah, it's encouraging people to get into that routine. And when we first wake up, we're in what's called theta brainwaves. And that's like when you know all about that. It's when we're kind of in that spongy like moment of
it's a natural state of hypnosis that we're like a slightly dream.
That's why I said you'd know all about it.
Slightly dreamy.
But when we first wake up, we're still in that. So it's a perfect time to do those affirmations, that the love me works and things like that. And if you can get into a routine in the morning, it sets your day up completely. I love that spiritual breakfast. That is brilliant. I love it.
If you haven't got time to sit on your mat and do an hour of meditation, which a lot of people say they can't.
5 minutes.
My meditation teacher said to me, when you're really, really busy, you should be meditating for an hour every morning. And when you're very, very calm, 10 minutes will do. And I was like, I'm too busy to meditate. But if you are struggling to get into a routine of spending time, like sitting on a cushion and meditating every morning, we love post-it notes. We just had that conversation.
Yeah,
we love a post-it note. I have a few post-it notes on my mirror, and I've got my affirmations on them. So while I'm brushing my hair and cleaning my teeth in the mirror, I'm saying these things to myself in the mirror. I'm telling myself, and I think that's a nice spiritual breakfast as well.
One by the tell you where there's a really good one to put one in the mirror where you brush your teeth. So because we always look when we brush our teeth, don't we? We like do a good old kind of Nasher look, and
we pull out funny faces.
So having a post-it with something on the mirror, and the mirror work is actually an amazing thing as well to do in the morning. If you can, and this is such a difficult thing for a lot of people, but it's a really great thing. If you can look in the mirror and say, I am amazing, I love you, or you are amazing, I love you. Look into your eyes and say that. A lot of people find that really difficult, but if you do find it difficult, all the more reason you need to do it.
If it feels very far away, maybe you need to do it every day.
But the meditation thing, the routines, the gratitudes, I always try to do, with the 5 o'clock thing, we do journaling and everything, but it's in general.
I might have to have a go at that as a challenge one time.
I will do it again.
I usually wake early, but I like a slow start to the day.
See, it doesn't come naturally for me. I have to be honest. I'm a night owl, so I do it as well to challenge myself. And I will be doing it again very soon. And we get up, we do journaling, we do a gratitude list, journaling, and it's just great, and affirmations and stuff. And if you haven't got time, just which is a bit of a cop out because we've always got time to read our Facebook posts and everything else. But even if it's 5 minutes of breath work, that's powerful. You don't even need to know how to do meditation, because a lot of people go, oh, I don't know how to do meditation. You don't need to. Just proper deep breathing. And a really great one is, if you're not sure breath work and what that's about, just take a really long deep breath in through your mouth, so it really oxygenates all your body. Try to let it come into diaphragm and belly, not your shoulders. Hold for 5 seconds and then breathe a full breath out. And if you can do that for a few minutes, that will set your day up as well.
Oh, I was talking to a Kundalini yoga teacher a couple of weeks ago who was saying that he works a lot with people who struggle with I'm going to use the label addictions, but what we're really talking about is pain. He works with a lot of people who are struggling with pain, and they look for ways to numb the pain. And he was saying what we're quite often looking for is we're looking for that sense of fullness, because we don't feel whole. We might be a bit damaged, we might be in pain, and we don't feel whole. So we're looking for that sense of fullness. And he says what you can do when you're having that moment where you're thinking, oh, I really want that chocolate bar, or oh, I really want that extra glass of wine, we can just stop and take a lovely deep breath in, and just like what you were saying, and hold your breath, because that gives you that moment of feeling full. And quite often that's enough.
And it lets the oxygen go all the way around your body as well. That holding it for 5 seconds just allows the oxygen to disperse fully through to your fingertips and everywhere. It's really powerful, really powerful.
Oxygenate your body, oxygenate your brain, and give yourself that sense of wholeness. Right, let's talk book launch. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I've been like, get to the book launch bit, get to the book.
I've got a copy here.
Oh my goodness. Flash that book at me. There it is.
We've got all our pictures on the back.
How a woman on the front's wearing a superhero outfit.
It's brilliant. I absolutely love the front cover for this. I love it. It's absolutely brilliant.
Tell me, how did you get involved? Who else is involved? Tell me about the book. So exciting.
Well, I am involved in a fantastic networking community, I'm going to call it. And it's the ethos is very much collaboration over competition. So there is no competition. It's a networking community of ladies in business. So they're entrepreneurs, small businesses, and they range everything from, web designers to, we've got a lady who is a menopause coach. We've got people that are techie. We've got people that help in finance. We've got a publisher. You name it. There's these incredible talented ladies.
Amazing talented women.
Yeah, really talented women. And what's lovely about it is that it's very much supporting one another. So, we support each other's businesses in different ways. So if we need something, we'll probably look within the community first. And obviously being in the community, we get a bit of a discount as well. So that's quite nice. Yeah. And the lady who runs this is an incredible woman called Sharon Brown. She really is a lovely, lovely lady. And she has such great vision. And she wanted to create a network that was very different to the normal standard competitive, here's my business card type thing.
Yeah.
And she created this network. And from that, she then started to have these other ideas of how we could collaborate. So came up with this book. And there was an opportunity to get involved. And right at the last minute, I said, that's incredible. I said, is there any chance I can be involved? She said, I've got one space left. If you can get your story in, like in the next 48 hours, she said, you're in. And I went, done, I'm doing it. So I literally spent 2 days just on and off, just writing this story of a couple of thousand words, and just trying to, my problem was actually, I wanted to write and write and write. And I had to try and get something of substance. And it just basically, it's 30 women who have written all a chapter each. So we've all got our own chapter. I'm right at the back because I was last in. But we've all...
Well, we saved the best to the last, don't they?
I wasn't going to say that. You said that, not me. No, they're all incredibly talented women, and they've all got incredibly inspiring stories in here. So it's very uplifting. And what it does is it just shows you that every single one of these ladies was, you know how I was talking about how I want to be an empowerment coach for women that are kind of, you know, they've been in corporate or they've been in a job, they've kind of climbed the ladder and they just wanted more fulfillment. That's very much what this is about. This is about women that realized there was more to life than just what they were doing, or they had an incredible idea and they wanted to bring it to fruition, or, you know, they weren't satisfied, or they'd gone through loads of awfulness, or they've gone through disease. And, you know, in some of these, you know, some of them had gone through some traumatic situations regarding health. And it's just how they overcame it and how they've created something off the back of it and flipped their lives around. So it's incredibly inspiring. I'm incredibly proud to be part of it. And yeah, we've got our book launch on the June the 11th. So I'm really, really excited.
Oh my goodness. I just absolutely love the idea of this, just a collective of fantastically empowering stories. I tell you why, I've obviously had my own experience of working as a part of a sisterhood and working with other women. Before, I don't know if you know this, but I lived in the Middle East for a little while, and I lived in Saudi Arabia, and I lived in...
Me too!
Yeah, I know that. We'll have a Saudi chat later.
Yes.
I lived in the north, and where it was quite a lot of sort of traditional sort of tribal ladies. I only ever mixed with women because it was a segregated community. But the women there, oh my goodness, they raise each other up. They come together in that sisterhood. You know, they might not be sisters biologically, but they stand together as sisters. And I thought I'd gone out there to liberate them and to educate them. And actually, it was the other way around. I went out there and I learned about how women, when they support each other, are powerful. We are powerful
100%.
beings when we stand together. And I think culturally, I'm going to probably say something a bit kind of controversial now. I believe culturally, women have learned to pull each other down to kind of climb the ladder of success. It's almost like it's a bit of a masculine kind of
and I think
that we've taken on, and it's not who we are. We are about community. We should be about sisterhood. There's you know, so many ways that we can raise each other up and support each other, and achieve ourselves as well, and celebrate each other's successes, and celebrate each other's mistakes and flaws too, because I think that's part of sisterhood. It's about celebrating what we've been through, good and bad, and raising each other up. And this book for me just expresses all of that. It's sisterhood, it's the coming together of powerful women, and it's that powerful collective energy is just amazing.
It is
tingly,
and that's it is, and that's exactly it. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think because we've had to fight for so many generations to be heard, to be seen, to be fairly treated, to be able to have the same things, we've had to compete in the same way that the masculine kind of energy has done so. And what that's done is that's taken us out of our actual power. So now I think we're in a turning point in history where we're actually thinking, no, hang on a minute. There's more better ways of doing this. And, you know, doing something like this and the networking, collaboration, communities and things that are being created now, including the one I'm in, it's just, I think it's a great thing. It's a great thing. I mean, so much more it can be produced. I mean, even if you take away the female, and even when you try and get men to work together, so much more can be achieved when you're united rather than divided.
Absolutely.
And this is half the problem in our world right now, while we haven't reached utopia or nirvana. It's because we've been too busy being divided and segregated through, you know, discrimination, and whether it's religion, whether it's, you know, race, color. I mean, controversial things at the moment going on.
I know.
We need to be united. And I think women can actually lead the way with that. I think, absolutely, without sounding too sexist or, you know, genderist, I think we're able to kind of show a good example with things like this coming together. We can show, like, look, we don't have to do it the masculine way. There's actually a much better way of kind of becoming more better and well, I have the word
we
better,
can
but
support each other, raise each other, lift each other up, be more effective in what we're doing. And how wonderful is it? I'm so blessed in my life because I've got a tribe of sisters behind me. You know, I've got people who I can phone. I've got friends who I can whinge at when I want to whinge. I've got friends who I laugh with. I've got, you know, and I've never had such a time in my life where I've ever had so many really beautiful, strong, powerful women supporting me. And that's what's driving my success, because I've got that sisterhood and I've got that support.
Same with me.
It's
funny, isn't it? Because you go through your well, for me, I went through my younger years traveling. So every time I made friends, I mean, this also created issues with me with my stability and my trust. Was I could never have any roots anywhere because I was always moving from town to town, country to country, school to school. So that was very difficult. And then in my teenage years, as we started to settle a little bit more, I suddenly had, you know, I was loud in the crowd, I was funny, I was energetic, I was daredevil, and suddenly I had what you call 200-300 friends, but they weren't really friends. You know, you find out very quickly that they're not friends, and then, you know, you end up with one or two, if you're lucky, of long-term friendships, which I'm very blessed to have some beautiful long-term, a couple of long-term friendships, which is wonderful. And then you kind of build a few more friendships as you go into your older kind of adult life, and you think, okay, well, you know the values of things, and you get to know genuineness and stuff. And now, like exactly what you said, now I'm kind of involved with just these incredibly supportive people, and you bring about what you think about. And I decided a while back to start getting rid of negativity, to get rid of people that were pushing me down or not supporting me or arguing with me or just generally being negative all the time. And it sounds awful, but there's my cat, I just got them out of my life, basically. And because that's not what I wanted. I wanted to be, you know, positive. And I started having friendships with people that were supportive. And now, like exactly what you just said, now I'm just incredibly blessed to have these amazing friends, amazing peers, amazing colleagues that are just much more positive, much more supportive. And it's just lovely. It is really lovely.
You know, I know that you do a lot of one-to-one work supporting women in business and in their businesses as well, in their work environment, and if they're in a self-employed kind of situation, and you empower them, you know, if they're struggling on all different ways. Particularly one of the areas that I know that you really specialize in is when it comes to public speaking. Now, I know that just recently, because we've had lockdown, a lot of us have had to start speaking more publicly like this over computers or via technology or on Facebook. And I know that a lot of my therapist friends have just gone, I can't do Facebook Lives. And they're almost afraid to be seen, or, you know, they've got a fear of being seen. They've got a fear of being heard. That there's that old imposter syndrome. You know, I studied this for 20 years, but I still don't really feel like I know enough to speak about it. There's that kind of lack of confidence. Tell me a little bit about the work that you do and the tools that you incorporate to kind of support people who are struggling to get out there and do those really important presentations, to tell the world about who they are. Tell us a little bit about the work that you do there.
Well, first of all, it depends very much on the person. I mean, this is why I put holistic into it, because it's very much about the individual and what they feel, what they're going through. And different people will, I mean, although fear all stems from the same thing, we all display it in different ways. We all carry it in different ways. So depending on the person, I treat everybody very individually. But, you know, there's lots of techniques and empowerment things that you can do with people to help ease them into kind of doing the things that they're fearful of. You know, I mean, and a lot of times, you know, it's simple things like, you know, for some people, I explain to them that fear physiologically is exactly the same in your body as excitement. exactly, the same things are going on in your body, the same hormones are being released, the same feelings exactly are going on in your body as when you are fearful and when you are excited. And the best way to explain that is if anybody goes on roller coasters, it's that flip thing of going up on a roller coaster as you're going up the hill bit first, and 1 minute you're really excited, and then the next minute you are terrified, and then the next minute you're really excited, and the next minute you're terrified. And it's like that. It's once you explain to somebody that this is going on in your body, it's just a physiological thing that's going on in your body, and that you're able to flip it in your mind to the way that you can control it in a much better way. For some people, just explaining that and saying to them, look, when you feel that fear, turn it instantly into excitement and just go, yes, I'm so excited, because you get those goosebumps, you know, your belly starts going and everything else, and it's exactly the same as fear. And so I teach people, like, you know, just embrace that, turn it into excitement, and just do it. I mean, Richard Branson, I think, is he's got an expression, screw it, just do it. And that's what I try to say to them, screw it, just do it. Just be excited about it.
Screw it, just do it.
But, you know, that's not going to, you know, that necessarily, that same tactic isn't going to work with everybody. Yeah. And so, for example, for somebody else, you know, I might take them back to the fact that we, as I said to you before, we all have a reason for being here. And if somebody is called to speak for whatever reason, whether it's because they are a coach themselves and suddenly they've got to go and do, you know, a webinar or something like that, and they're like, oh God, I can't do this kind of thing. Or, you know, they've got to do something. If they're called to do something, it's what I call the universe calling you to do it, because somebody needs to hear it.
That's right.
And by not doing it, you're not fulfilling your purpose. You're almost being, dare I say it, selfish. Yeah. So you have to be selfless and say that I'm called to do this. So I have to look beyond how I'm feeling, because that it's not about me. This is where you have to be selfless. It's not about
it's a real energy transfer, isn't it? When you're living that life of service, because you're following your divine calling, because you stepped into your purpose, and because you're doing that thing that you're supposed to be doing. As you're giving, you're receiving as well, aren't you? As you're loving what you're doing, as you're challenging yourself to do these new things, as you're stepping out of your comfort zone, the energy and the love and what you get back, there's a beautiful flow to it, isn't there? That giving.
It does. You're exactly right. I mean, I've done a diploma in public speaking, and I learned a lot on that. And I had a mentor as well, Luke Scott, who was really able to kind of teach me that concept of. I mean, he was quite blunt with it. He said, "You're being selfish by not telling the world what it needs to hear, because somebody in the audience, that's a recipient of what you're going to say, needs to hear it." And he said, you could be saving someone's life.
Yeah, that's
you might think it's a trivial thing, but knowing that you're going to say something that's beyond how you feel, but it's going to save somebody or change somebody's life in some way, to me, that changed everything. That was like, okay, this isn't about me. And, you know, and also, you know, another thing I say to people, look, people are going to judge you anyway. They're going to judge you, because whether we like it or not, that's what everybody does in some way or another. And it's not necessarily in a bad way, but that's what human beings do. We have a consciousness, and we're always judging whether we're going to get value from something or someone. That's what we do. You learn that in psychology. There's always a value.
Weigh it up, don't we? And we work out what's going to be the best for us. Yeah.
And so when you look at it in a kind of a sort of psychological way, and you look at it in a scientific way, there will always be judgment. So you can choose to not fulfill your purpose, or you fulfill your purpose knowing that it doesn't matter, because there's judgment whether you fulfill it or not. That, you know, you can walk to the shops and someone will judge you. You can get off a bus and someone will judge what you're wearing, how you step down from the bus, what your hair looks like. That's just a normal human concept. But you can do it with purpose and help somebody, or not. And so just sometimes saying something like that, sometimes you have to go deeper with people. Sometimes you have to really go and find out what it is that's really holding them back. And it could be conditioned, you know, it could be conditioned kind of self-beliefs of, you know, they're not good enough, people will laugh at me, I'm a failure, all those things. Sometimes you have to really work with people, because all those things that I explained are not enough. But sometimes, you know what, just those things is enough. And I'm kind of an empowerment coach for when I help out at the stand-up speakers where I did my diploma. I help there at the Speaking Academy, and I help run the events. And we get a lot of new people coming in, and they get called, their name gets pulled out of the hat, and they literally look like a rabbit caught in the headlights. They literally look terrifying. You could see even before, at the beginning of the event, they're putting their name in the box like this, and you just go, look,
dry mouth, shaking, wobbly legs.
And you go,
what am I going to say?
Put it in. If you're called, it's because somebody needs to hear something you've got to say. So when they're pulled, you suddenly see them look terrified, and they literally look like they've been caught in the headlights. And I'll take them outside for 5 minutes, and I'll do like an empowerment kind of coaching session. And, you know, and I'll say some of the things that I've just said to you, or I'll say something totally different. I gauge everyone differently. And it's just explaining to them, look, you put your name in that box for a reason, and you were called for a reason. There's your pathway mapped out already for you, and it's going to change your life one way or the other. Getting up will change your life, and it will, because it will either make you empowered to know you can do that, and at the same time you're going to be helping somebody else, and you know that deep down as well, that you were meant to speak. So there's so many different things and techniques and ways and things that you can do to
I just absolutely love how you have all of this knowledge and all of these tools and all of these skills and all these qualifications and bits of paper that you've all done. But I think you just have this amazing intuition. You just seem to be able to really tap in to what people need, and you just magic in the way that you support them. Do you think it's ever too late to make these changes in your life? Do you think, sometimes you get into your, I don't know, late 40s, early 50s, you're heading for retirement maybe, and you feel like you've quite found the thing that you were meant to do? Is it ever too late?
Never. It is never too late. Absolutely not. And I would hate for somebody to think that. I mean, I've got she's a beautiful woman that I know, a colleague of mine. I'm sure she won't mind me saying, Brenda, and she was 70, and on her birthday last year, for her 70th birthday, she winged walked. I don't know if you know what that is. It's where you're strapped to the top of a plane, like those little planes. She was strapped to the top of the plane, and she stood on the plane, harnessed in, while this plane took off and did lots of dives and everything else. 70 years old.
Whoa.
And you are never too old to do anything. And I think the problem with society in general is that we have this preconditioned idea that when we get to a certain age, we need to slow down, we need to take it easy, we need to stop doing things, we need to sit in an armchair and grow old gracefully. Rubbish. Let's not grow old gracefully, let's go crazy, because you're never to. And if it's a case of following your passion, and if you've retired or you're not quite retired yet, do it. If you've got a passion, do it. Because the worst thing that can ever happen is you get into your deathbed. I know this sounds awful, but going to your deathbed and saying, I wish I had of.
Yeah.
Don't ever get to that point where you're transitioning into where whatever happens as you die, whatever your belief is, you shouldn't have to get to that point and go, I wish I did this, or I wish I should have done that, or I wish I could have done it differently.
Yeah.
You're never too old. You're never too old. You might have to make, you might have to kind of ease into it a bit gently if it's something you've not done before. But you know what? Just do it. Just do it. You live, this life is for living and for experiencing. Yeah. That's the whole point. As I said before, we're spiritual beings that we've come here to experience for our soul. We come from source, we come from love, and we are so consumed with this love that we know nothing else other than love. So we come here to experience all these different things, love, pain, excitement, fear, joy, And it's all the way from when we're born till we die. So who says we have to cut off 3/4 of the way through? Who made that rule? We should be experiencing right up until the day we die.
Wow. You are amazing. I'm going to post on in the podcast the information about the book and the launch dates and how people can get involved and how they can get their hands on a copy of that amazing book. But if people want to get in touch with you and work with you, what's the best way for them to find you?
The best way, I mean, I am on Facebook. I'm Aly Jones, and I can give you the link actually, so you can put that on as well if you want.
I will do.
So, yeah. So it's ALY, Aly with a Y, Jones, and there's a picture of me at the moment. My profile picture is me with a mic in my hand, and I think I've got a glittery dress on.
You're doing a lot of that at the moment. A lot of talk.
Unfortunately, no, it's all virtual at the moment, sadly. But well, I could pretend. I could get a big mic and pretend, but you know, it's all experience, isn't it? This is another experience that we're going through. It's all good fun. I've got my email, which is ybu_coaching@outlook.com.
YBU.
And also ybucoaching.com is my website, which I'm just building at the moment. So I'm not very techie. I'm giving it a go myself. So yeah. But yeah, definitely get in touch with me. I'm also on LinkedIn as well. I'm also on LinkedIn and Aly Jones. But yeah, do get in contact with me. I'm happy to have a chat with people. I'm not the typical sales guru and thingy. I'm not going to try and sell you. Just get in contact with me. Have a chat with me. See where that goes. And yeah, I'm happy to help people, give advice.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, it's been so lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on the Wednesday Wellbeing Show and sharing that fantastic, awesome news about the book launch and just having you on and chatting with you about all the things that you do. You're inspirational and yeah, I can imagine working with you would be a really transformational experience. So, Aly, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for having me. It's actually been a ball, and I can't believe how much time has gone already.
I know.
But yeah,
we could just talk all night.
It's been an absolute blast, and I've got so much going on coming up, lots of projects, lots of events coming up. So yeah, there's that as well. I'd love people to come to my events and things like that, and it'd be great. To have you.
Look out for Aly. Look out for Aly Jones. Aly and I are going to be doing some work together next year as well.
We are. Very excited about that. We are. And I'm really looking forward to that.
And wherever you are, wherever you're listening, however you're listening or watching, Aly and I wish you a wonderful, wonderful week.
Yeah, and remember how amazingly spectacular, unique, and beautiful you are.
And all that. A wonderful week of well-being. Have a great week.